If we haven't met before, I'm Sarah, an end-of-life planning advocate normalizing conversations about end-of-life and estate planning before those conversations are necessary. Picture the scene. Someone you know is doing some estate planning and they ask you if you're willing to be the executor of their estate. Sure, you say, wanting to be helpful and maybe wanting to quickly end the awkward conversation on the subject of death. But wait, you might think later, what exactly does that mean? Unfortunately, a typical response is to do nothing until after that person dies, then try to figure it all out then, after you've lost someone close, while you're grieving, when there are funerals to arrange and sympathy cards coming in, and most importantly, for me at least, a paperwork person, when you can no longer ask questions, when nothing can be clarified. I promise you, the last thing you'll want to do in that moment is to frantically Google, what does an executor do? What an executor does can vary significantly based on the state where you live and the specifics of the estate. Generally speaking, executor duties may include such activities as obtaining certified copies of the death certificate, finding the will, initiating probate proceedings, hiring professional assistants, for example, a probate attorney or a tax or financial advisor, inventorying and safeguarding the deceased's assets, identifying and notifying heirs, beneficiaries, and creditors, paying taxes and expenses, distributing the estate's assets. It's a lot. It's time-consuming, it's complex, and it's tedious. And it also can be made a smidge easier if you plan ahead and are prepared. When you know you're going to be the executor of someone's estate, you can take action before you have to, when the person is still alive and you can ask questions and get issues clarified. Here are a few of those questions. First of all, where are their important documents? Of utmost importance, where is their will? Does anyone else, like an attorney, have a copy? Also, find out where they keep other important documents like birth certificates, passports, and marriage certificates. If there are other elements to their estate plan, like a living trust, where are those documents? And if any of these documents are kept in a secure location, like a home safe or a safe deposit box, make sure that you'll be able to access that location when the time comes. Question number 2, what is in the will? As an executor, you'll be in charge of making what your person wanted done, as documented in their will, happen in reality. It will be very beneficial to you to find out what exactly that will entail while you still can ask questions. So walk through the person's will with them so you know what to expect. Find out what they have and who will get it. Maybe find out if those people know what they're getting. Hurt feelings can arise when the reality of what is in a will doesn't match what people expected. Third, have sentimental items been considered? Does the will consider the distribution of sentimental items? Items like bank accounts are nearly always considered in a will and are generally usually pretty straightforward to distribute. But sentimental items might be overlooked and can cause the most emotional pain and ongoing family turmoil. Ask if the histories or lore of the family heirlooms or sentimental items have been documented. Fourth, who's who and how can you reach them? An executor will need to contact many people in your person's life. Maybe you knew those people and maybe you didn't. Make sure your person leaves the names and contact information of anyone who will play a role in managing their estate, such as advisors, such as attorneys, CPAs, or financial advisors, heirs and beneficiaries, anyone named as guardian for minor kids or pets, and anyone else they'll want to be contacted and notified of the death. If the contact information is somewhere like a phone contacts list, make sure you'll be able to access that information when the time comes. The fifth question, where is their in real life stuff? You will have to locate, inventory, secure, safeguard, and eventually distribute your person's stuff. Knowing where all that stuff is can be a huge help so that you aren't starting an inventory with a blank slate. Do they have a home inventory? Do they have stuff stored in a safe deposit box or a storage unit? Do they have a financial spreadsheet and a listing of accounts? If they haven't started financial or physical inventories, highly suggest they start one. Even if it isn't 100% complete, it is better than you having to start from scratch. Question number 6, related, where is their digital stuff? Of increasing importance in managing someone's estate is managing their digital afterlife. Their digital afterlife will need to be wrapped up in the same way their in real life is. Get an inventory of their online life. While a complete list is near impossible, focus on accounts with personal or financial information like online banking and Venmo. Digital accounts that are tied to bank accounts or credit cards, accounts or subscriptions that will have to be canceled, or accounts that contain information that other people might want to access, like notes or photos. Make sure your person has documented the account, the URL or application, usernames, passwords, and any other necessary access information. Question number 7, will cash be immediately accessible? Probate can take a long time, and generally estate funds can't be accessed until probate is settled. But in the meantime, bills like funeral expenses and obligations like mortgage payments will need to be paid while the estate works its way through the court system. Will there be cash immediately available to pay those expenses? One option is to consider listing someone like the executor as a payable on death beneficiary on a bank account. Those funds can be automatically accessed without the need for probate. Question number 8, will there be surprises? Maybe your person will be willing to tell you about the secrets that might be revealed after their death, but more likely they won't. Even if they aren't willing to give you the specifics, hopefully they'll be willing to at least give you a heads up that there might be a surprise in the will. For example, someone being disinherited, kids not being treated equally, or surprise half-siblings that no one knew about. Even if they aren't willing to tell you anything, you can encourage them to write letters and to explain the situation or why they made the decisions that they did. These letters are sometimes called an ethical will. It might lessen the hurt just a little bit. Question 9. Well, this isn't really a question as much as a to-do. If you know where the probate will be taking place, check out what forms will be used. This won't necessarily be for everybody, but if you are a worrier and a planner like me, you might want to consider it. If you know where the probate will be taking place, check out that probate court's website and read the forms that you'll likely be seeing when that probate occurs and what's in them. There usually isn't any paperwork to be done in advance, but simply seeing the forms and reading them, or trying to read them as the case might be, the ones that I'll be using are not very plain English, and even for me as a trained lawyer, I find them very hard to read. But trying to read them can settle your mind a bit about what will be required. It also can give you a heads up about the kinds of questions and the types of information you will need right away, so you can start to gather that information ahead of time. Question or to-do number 10, related to that, consider checking out basic information about the processes that you know you will have to handle one day. For example, one thing I got preemptively freaked out about is knowing that I will be in charge of changing the ownership of a home in a state where I don't live. I don't know the forms. I don't know the processes. I settled my brain down a little bit by doing a little basic research. I am far from an expert after 10 minutes of Googling, but I at least have a basic outline of the process and a general idea of the forms that will be involved. And as a result, I am much less worried about the what ifs and how will I's. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and also consider hitting the subscribe button for regular end-of-life and estate planning information.